Everybody, it's Jim, it's Amadeus, and it's that time of year when relegation is in the air and Champions League teams are formed and all kinds of fun stuff. It's the last day, well, not really the last day, but the almost last day of the Premiership. Easy for me to say. So, Amadeus, any surprises over the weekend, or just business as usual?
Yeah, wasn't really a lot of surprises. I wanted to take Brentford, and I talked myself off of it. But of course, they beat Manchester City, who had nothing to play for.
Right.
But sorry, what were you gonna say?
Nothing. I was just talking about the fact that you said that there were a few things that surprised you.
Yeah. There wasn't. It was pretty much business as usual. We have the four teams that that we've been talking about pretty much for the last half of the season: Man City,
Mhm.
Arsenal, Man United, and Newcastle. Those will be your top four going into Champions League.
Mhm.
The fifth and sixth place teams getting the Europa League spot are Liverpool and Brighton. So
Mhm.
Brighton found a way to get themselves up into European competition for next year. And Aston Villa did a good job to beat Brighton on the weekend and fend off Tottenham for that final Conference League spot. So,
Mhm.
and
So
then
then,
obviously,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just going to talk about the relegation next.
Go
What were
ahead.
you going to say?
I was going to ask you about the relegation.
Oh yeah. So yeah, now we go to the opposite. Yeah, we both on the same track here. Now to the opposite end of the table. So Southampton came into the weekend. They were pretty much the only team that had nothing to play for. They had already
Mhm.
been relegated. But yeah, everybody came into the weekend except for them with something to play for. Leeds had to beat Tottenham, got destroyed 4-1. But I've been saying Leeds is going to get relegated
Mhm.
back when they were in 12th weeks ago, and look at that, they finished in 19th place. So second worst team in the Premier League, and our third team, Leicester City, despite grinding away the
Mhm.
win over the weekend, it didn't mean a thing because Everton won their match against Bournemouth and secured their safety for another season. So Everton finds a way to stay up, and Leicester City, after winning the Premier League title years ago and being such a Cinderella story, managing to stay in the top half of the table for so long, is finally gone from the Premier
Like,
League.
bye. You know, it's one of those things. The
Feels like the end of an era for them.
Yeah. So Man City takes the title. Arsenal finishes second. Man U third. Newcastle fourth. And so those are your Champions League teams. Liverpool and Brighton. Now, we were talking, and we've talked many times about how much we like this Brighton team. But you've also said, and this is where I'm going with this, is that there's a lot of good players on Brighton. Is that Is that sliding them into you know the opportunity to play in Europe for trophies and more money going to keep the Brighton team together, or does that not play into it?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's a positive for Brighton
Mhm.
because obviously, they're going to get that influx of cash from Europa League now, and so maybe they can go spend a little more money and try to convince some of their players to stay, or if they have to go replace some of the guys. It all depends on the player. Like McAllister, for example, he won the World Cup with Argentina. He
Mhm.
believes like he belongs on a big club like a Real Madrid or something like
Right.
that. So he's probably going to leave. Maybe Brighton can offer him the right amount of money to make him stay, but with a player like that, I feel almost they want to be on a bigger club, so to say. Another guy, Moises Caicedo is
Mhm.
another one who's probably going to end up leaving. He's got a lot of potential, but they still have a lot of good players. Like, I mean, obviously, I've mentioned many times, Matoma would be the first player.
That was about to ask you. So you left him out.
Yeah, he's the first I'm going to poach from that team. But like that's the thing, right? He's a left midfielder, so a lot of teams in the Premier League have been rocking that kind of formation lately. That's the five midfield where it's the two defensive midfields, and then you kind of have the center, the right, and the left, but they act more as wingers. Like we see Man United use that formation a lot, and obviously Brighton's another one that uses that formation. But left midfielders, they're not as in high demand as strikers are, for example. Like strikers are going to be hot commodities for sure this summer, I would think. And Matoma, he's a player. He's one of the fastest players in the Premier League, which I don't think a lot of people realize. But he would definitely be the first I'm going to push. But he might be a player Brighton could convince to stay for the right amount of money because, he's a guy that maybe he's not getting a lot of knocks on his door, right? Because again, the position he plays, but he is a fantastic player, and by far, I think he's probably one of the biggest reasons why this team was so good. The speed he brings to the wing there, he's just a very good player. So, he's one that's going to stay. It'll be tough. Evan Ferguson, as we said, strikers are going to be in a hot commodity, that's for sure. So it'll be interesting if Evan Ferguson decides to stay, or he might be a guy that leaves for even a smaller club because maybe Champions League. Obviously, these players want to play in Champions League too. Europa League doesn't cut it for some of them. But a player like Evan Ferguson, he's definitely going to be looking outwards when he knows his position is in such high demand right now. There's a lack of number 9s across all leagues in Europe. So he's definitely one, that's probably going to go explore his options. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Brighton's probably a team to watch in the offseason because they're either going to get picked apart, and if that happens, then they have no hope in Europa League next year. But if they can retain some of their players, we'll just have to see.
Well, sometimes, the key here, excuse me, the key here is, as you say, sometimes you can talk players into staying if they feel comfortable, if the team chemistry is good, and you and I are baseball fans, and we see that all the time. There's guys re-signing, like a Max Muncy for the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
He's had opportunities to go and probably make more money, but he likes the chemistry in the clubhouse. So sometimes, if you can give your local guys a bump there and say, okay, look, I understand you clearly could go someplace else and make money, no doubt about it. And I don't expect you to, give me a discount, but some guys will stay. And I guess it remains to be seen, as you said, whether Brighton can keep some of the core that they have, and with the extra money, go out and see if they can land some folks that will not only be beneficial on the pitch, but also in the camaraderie of playing so many games together.
Yeah, well, a great example of that is actually Barcelona last summer. Before they had the season they went and had where they won the La Liga title but did about nothing else all year. They were a team, after they signed Lewandowski, they signed a bunch of these players. Obviously, they didn't have the finances to pay all of them, but some of those players, they wanted to play for the club Barcelona. They liked the team they were putting together, and a lot of them took pay cuts. Now, obviously, as the season started to unfold the way it was, you had guys like Memphis Depay who ended up leaving, and a few other players, plan on likely leaving this summertime. Barcelona actually needs to shed 200 million euros off their payroll before they can even sign another player, and that would only bring them to their max payroll for next year. So they're going to have tight pockets this summer, that's for sure. But yeah, absolutely. It happens, right? We saw it with Barcelona last summer when the future looked bright. and it looked like maybe they were going to be on the come up after losing Messi. You know, they're trying to get all these big names and all those big players. They wanted to play for the club, so they all took pay cuts. And then it didn't work out. And obviously, you know, now we have a Barcelona in shambles here. But it definitely can happen. So it'll be interesting to see what the players. It's all up to the players of Brighton.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, it's what happened in Barcelona. It's if you feel like you can make a run at it, I think that's the key. You know, everybody wants some sort of hardware, and if you think you can make a run at it, now let me ask you: there's something that happens. You know, again, the analogy here to sports in the U.S. is that sometimes players will say, all right, look, I'm the star player on this team, okay, or I'm one of the star players on this team. If I go to X, Y, or Z team, where does that put me in that, you know, pecking
order? Yeah, so definitely it's thought about. So I'll give you an example with Messi.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, you know, speculate where is Messi going to go, whether it be this summer. It's going to be this summer. Sorry, but you know, he's a guy where he would like to go back to Barcelona. Obviously, we know the situation Barcelona's in financially. Now, Messi's the kind of guy where, you know, he probably, as with the career he's had, he would take a pay cut to go play in Barcelona. Mm-hmm. That's probably something I don't think that would bother him as much, especially when he put in a request to Barcelona to sign Angel Di Maria and Leandro Paredes. So, you know, his World Cup teammates. So, you know, for example, that's a player that, you know, he knows what his worth is, but he's willing to take a pay cut so he can go back to the club he wants to be at and play with players he wants to play with. Mm-hmm. Now, is it going to happen is the question. I don't know because, you know, his father is his agent. Mm-hmm. His father likes money, and the Saudis offered them a lot of it.
A lot of money.
Okay, a lot of it. So it's again, the Saudis have the money to pay his friends,
right?
Di Maria and, you know, Sergio Busquets, who's leaving Barcelona.
They can build a team based on his, you know, what he wants.
Exactly, right? And that's one of the things where, like, so Barcelona is already going to struggle to find the money to pay Messi. And even if Messi takes a pay cut, you know, he's still giving you got to sign 2 other guys with me to come to the club, where, you know, Saudi's going to have no problem paying Messi $200 million and then turning around and say, okay, who do you want? You want Di Maria? All right, we'll grab him for a year. Who else you want, right? And they have the money to do so. So, yeah, it's definitely one of those things. See, the thing is, I don't think it's the same as North American sports in the sense where, like, so for example, my Arizona Cardinals,
right,
they gave all their money to an idiot teenage quarterback,
right.
And now they've released, you know, the rest of their defense and offense. So we're basically in the rebuild with all money tied up in this one player. So how do you build a team around that? Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen so much in soccer.
Right. Okay.
Because I'm just going to come out and say it. You know, they find ways to skirt the rules to sign players. Okay. And that's how, you know, Barcelona's in a corruption scandal now. So these teams, they find ways to hide transfer fees and other things because there's not an actual salary cap. It's more like baseball in the sense where, you know, you can blow past it. Eventually you're going to get audited. It might come 10 years down the line, but you can just keep, you know, spending that kind of money. And especially so for example, Barcelona's a team we said is, you know, they're $200 million over what their payroll is supposed to be for next season. So La Liga has basically told them, you know, you got to clear off that debt before you can even think about signing another player. Well, how were they able to get the debt that high without the league stopping them? Because in the one transfer window, you can spend all that money and then deal with the consequences afterwards. Almost that's because that's pretty much what happened here. Is they spent over what they were supposed to spend, couldn't afford to pay everybody, couldn't register all the players. Now they're in this situation where they basically have to sell players before they can even think about buying another player. And now they're gonna now they have to find the 200 million to clear that down. And this is all from one transfer window where they were able to just and Chelsea, we saw Chelsea do the same thing in the winter transfer window. Todd Bowley basically tried to spend as much as he can, and he knew I can blow past the payroll cap as much as I want because I'm not going to be able to buy in the summertime regardless. I do all the spending now, so you might as well go overboard with it. And I see that's what a lot of these teams end up doing, is they tend to go overboard and then correct it afterwards.
It's funny, like you're talking about, hometown discounts and sticking around. There's also, like you said, with the Messi deal is rare, right? Because you get a player who is iconic on all continents. Everybody knows who he is, who's around soccer. If you have a group that said, sit you down and go, Amadeus, pick the team you want, we will give it to you. That's a hard thing not to do, to not take that offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Because right? You get to choose. You're telling me you're going to pay me whatever, and I get to choose where I want to be. That's the dream scenario.
Right. Well, it's funny too because back when Brady went to play for the Buccaneers, Jason Light, who was the general manager, said, "You tell me who you want. We'll try to get them for you." And in a way, he put Brady in a position as a de facto assistant general manager. And so Gronk came back, to get the band back together. They brought in Leonard Fournette as a running back who Tom liked. So basically Tom picked who he wanted on that Buccaneer team.
Took a chance with Antonio Brown there.
Yeah, for a while. That worked for a while.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw the Jets do with Aaron Rodgers before they even signed him.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers basically gave him a laundry list and was like, all right, or what is it, more like a hostage list here.
Yeah.
Go get me these items and you can have my signature.
Right. It was like, shopping at the grocery store. Here's my list, bring it home. I'll cook. I think that's going to be very interesting. The Jets' luck has not been fantastic over the years. And he's the second Green Bay quarterback that's been traded to the Jets. Brett Favre got there before him, and now it's him. So
where Green Bay quarterbacks go to die.
Right. Or maybe they just don't like to change the colors. It's Green Bay, it's green and gold. They just go to green and white instead of green and gold over in the Meadowlands. But yeah, that's an interesting situation to say the least. So no, you don't get those things very often, the opportunities to pick your team. And even LeBron doesn't get those things very often. Let's downshift for just a second. I got to say that although I haven't heard it yet, but I'm got to go out on a limb and say that TBS, TNT, ESPN, ABC could not be happy with the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals. Because
I told you it was going to happen.
You said
it was going to happen.
You got Vegas and Florida, and you got, in Stanley Cup Finals. And then you've got, Denver's a good team. There's no getting around that. They're a good team. And Miami bunch that's the number 8 seed, and they're very scrappy. And should have won the game on Saturday night, but forgot to block out. And then they take it to the Celtics in the Garden last night. So hello, ladies and gentlemen, Denver, Miami, and if you want to just hang around for a couple of days, you just drive on over to the Panthers, arena, and you'll be watching Vegas and Florida. So very bizarre but interesting sets of finals. I can say that the term underwhelming would be probably appropriate here.
I think you said it best when you said the Stanley Cup would have the lowest ratings it's had in 10 years if it was Vegas, Florida, and that's exactly what we got.
Well, nobody in Florida watches them, so
I won't be watching it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it would be. Fortunately, I'm not Fortunately, I'm not contractually obligated to watch them, so I don't have to worry about that. The one that's the wild one. I don't know if Miami could beat Denver, perhaps, but I don't think so. You have a thought on that series? How long it may go?
I'm with you. I don't think Miami can beat Denver, but I think they could put up a good fight, drag it 7 games.
That's what they're praying to.
I think the NBA wants the 7 games after the Nuggets just swept in the last round.
Right. I was gonna go 6, but 7's not bad. As I said, people at ABC and ESPN would be happy if that happened. I don't know what the poor people at Turner, because they get the first on their new contract. They get the first year of the Stanley Cup Finals, so they got this, and so I have to text Kenny Albert and see how they, as Kenny would say, probably that I get paid no matter who they are, but it's going to be a trick to get that one by. Hey,
would they really be happy, Jim, with 7 straight games of the lowest ratings? Is that really something they want?
It's what if you're on the broadcast side, okay, on the ABC side, the ratings will be good enough to get them to at least a second place finish, okay, because we're in that series, we're in that part of the year where it's reruns mainly.
I see.
Or it's Survivor and those types of games.
The summer game show.
The summer game show blitz, okay?
The Amazing Race.
Right. So anyway, in that aspect, Fox, or ABC in this case, ABC will get, if nothing else, they'll get and hold a number 2 position, which is not bad, okay? TNT, because they're not linear, so they're not on the broadcast television, they're on cable television. They're probably, going to lose out to a couple of shows, but they'll get enough juice to get them. Again, maybe a second place in that situation, because you're really only talking to. You had mentioned it. The Canadians who are interested in the players on these teams, right, will watch, but they don't get counted into the U.S. market. So the U.S. market, is there? I guess the key is: are there enough hockey fans who are interested in those 2 teams outside of Vegas and Florida to get that done? And I don't. I like hockey, but I have zero interest in this game.
What do you think? What do you think would get more ratings? The Stanley Cup Finals, as we have it right now,
right?
Or if you took the 2 teams, Vegas and Florida, and put them on an episode of Naked and Afraid.
It would be. What you're putting them on, or you're just asking me if a?
No, you're putting like the Florida Panthers and Vegas on the island.
Naked and Afraid. Um, Probably that. Although you'd have to throw in whatever cheerleading staff they have just to make it, interesting. But yeah, that's an interesting concept. No, I think that would. I think the Discovery Channel, who also now owns TNT, so yeah, they could actually do it if they wanted to. But I'm not guessing.
You're contractually obligated.
Right. We're going to throw you on that, or they can hold it for Shark Week, which would be fun too. So, it is what it is.
If Tom can do the Masked Singer, then you guys are doing Naked and Afraid. Let's go.
That's it. Yeah, get out there. So anyway, yeah, the ratings probably would be better. No question about it.
I just mentioned that one because it's one of those shows that's like, why? Who had that idea?
Right. It's funny because there's now in the United States a writer's strike, and so all the sitcoms and all of the scripted programming is not getting done. So you're going to see a lot more game shows and a lot more of these reality type programs throughout the summer till the writer's strike is done.
Reality TV is easy to write.
Yeah.
It's trash.
It's tough. It's tough. But I did watch over the weekend. I saw the Rays and the Dodgers play on Peacock in the early game, and that was 11-10 Rays win. It's funny because on those early games, like on a Sunday game, people may or may not know this. Most of the time on a Sunday game, which is a 1:30 start or something like that, right? There's no batting practice. You just get to the stadium, get dressed, go out and warm up a little bit, and no batting practice. And clearly, both the Dodgers and the Rays may never have batting practice again, given what happened with the 11-10 game. But then, of course, and how many times have we seen this where you score 11 runs one day and you shut out the next?
Yep.
And it happens. I mean, you almost like you want to stockpile some of those runs for other days, but
don't use them all in one go.
Well, in that case, they had to, or they wouldn't have won. But it happens. It happens, and we've seen in the power ratings in the MLB now, the number 2 team in the power ratings has leapfrogged to the Texas Rangers, which is a very interesting concept of what's going on. I mean, the Rangers are there. Baltimore's at number 3. I mean, it's almost an alternative universe if you look at the top 5 teams in the Major League Baseball power ranking.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that those 3 are at the top 3 in the power rankings because Baltimore, the Rays, and the Rangers are also 3 of the biggest money leaders in baseball this year. If you've bet on them every single game, you're over 15 units positive on each.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because the thing is, you get a lot of these teams at plus money early in the season. So when you get a team like the Rangers and the Orioles that win 30 games already, you're getting them at like plus 150 a lot of these games.
They had Shane McClanahan on the headset during half inning, and the Rays scored 6 runs in that half inning that Shane McClanahan was on. And so they said they may have to keep next inning he may just grab the headset and throw it on. But the interesting thing was, and the Rays normally are a team that will dink and dunk you to death, right? They're not going to hit a lot of home runs. This Rays team has hit 100 home runs. Last year, the Rays hit 100 home runs on August 1st. They got it. So I don't know if it's pitch clock or suddenly the trop has gotten smaller or whatever it is. It's an interesting situation to say the least. But yeah, I mean, so that's good to know. I think it was the team number 4 is the Dodgers, and number 4
Yeah,
is
see, they're not a big one because when
no,
they lose at minus 200.
they get whacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's when you look up and see Tampa Bay, Texas, and the Orioles as your top 3, that's a bit interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect, but it is what you get, and there you go. So, what's some of the things you're looking at? Since soccer doesn't end, but soccer winds down. Where does Amadeus begin to start his your gaming aspect once soccer is moving off the radar for a while?
Yeah, soccer never ends, Jim.
True, that's true.
It never ends. So, as the European leagues wind down, it's a shame because I just calculated my Premier League record for the season yesterday, and I finished the season 125, 87, and 10 for 30. Yeah, for $31,450, or 31.4 units. So, yeah, it was a very good season. It's disappointing that's over now, but I'll be turning definitely to North America and South America for more soccer content. I know there's a big MLS slate on Wednesday. I cashed in Argentina last night with Vélez Sarsfield in a wild match. So, yeah, it's always, I'll probably be looking at Argentina, Brazil, and the MLS, and then obviously Copa Libertadores, the CONCACAF Champions League. I would, but we're at the finals basically. LAFC plays Leon Leon in the finals. I think it's next week. But yeah, the CONCACAF Champions League finals is right around the corner. So
wow,
it's probably be LAFC, I would think.
Well, I mean, it's I know that we're at a point in the MLS season where we're now actually getting 2 days at at a time, so that's not a bad thing. We get games on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. Of course, the bad is the fact that they're all scheduled to be played at the same time.
Like they're all tomorrow, and I don't see why we couldn't have like 3 today, 3 on Thursday. No, you slap me with like 14 tomorrow.
Yeah, the other thing is, why wouldn't you want to play? Why wouldn't you want to play games on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon when you might get families, involved?
Yeah, and it's another thing I don't quite understand because their only competition this time of year is the MLB. Like you literally do not have to accommodate like, oh, we can't play Saturday night because the NBA. No, like it's over. NBA and NHL is going to be like one game every other day for the next week, and then it's done. So they have nothing to compete with.
Right. But also in a lot of cities, they don't have a professional baseball team. So
that's a great point. Like Salt Lake.
What exactly are you holding off for?
Nashville.
Right.
Like that's a great point. These are all teams that, yeah, they got nothing better to watch because they don't even have the baseball team. They go out to watch their USL club.
Yeah, that is absolutely. It's funny. The Tampa Bay Rays own the Rowdies, the USL club.
There you go.
1 second, I'm just going to look up here and see.
Maybe that's why the Rays are so good this year. All those guys I saw soaring the balls over nets on some of their shots, they went to go play in the MLB.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, you want to hit it out of the park? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Let's see. Hang on. So the excuse me. Yeah, the MLS standings. And we can look real quick. Cincinnati, yes, they have a baseball team. Nashville, no. New England, yes. Philadelphia, yes. Atlanta, yes. Charlotte, no. Orlando, no. DC, it's marginal. Yes, they do have one. Montreal, Columbus, no. New York City, yes. Chicago, yes. Red Bulls, yes. Toronto, yes. Yeah. And Inter Miami, they have one, but who knows? Who cares?
Vancouver and Montreal. You want to mention the two Canadian teams?
I'm going to the West now.
Okay.
Seattle, yes. St. Louis, yes. LA, yes. Dallas, yes. San Jose, no. Technically, maybe the Giants, I guess. And the A's.
Is that really San Jose?
I'm sorry?
Is that really San Jose? San Francisco?
Not really. I mean, I want to say it is, but San Jose is a good hour drive from San Jose.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be like me driving to Toronto. I guess,
it's
Toronto's all we got.
Technically, it's in the market, but San Jose is really not. I mean, it's an hour drive to LA. I mean, to San Francisco or Oakland. Let's see. San Jose, Minnesota, yes. Houston, yes. Vancouver, no. Portland, no. Austin, no. Salt Lake City, no. Kansas City, yes. Colorado, yes. LA Galaxy, yes. And that's it. So, give or take, half of the teams don't have a professional baseball.
Which is still a good number. Half is quite a bit.
The other, though, is
when the team is 40, when the league is 40 teams.
Right. The other thing, too, is that, you could schedule. It's not like they don't know Major League Baseball schedules, right? So you could schedule a Sunday afternoon game on a week when your baseball team's out of town. So, I don't know what to tell you. They're not letting us handle this.
Yeah, like I said, we got to be in charge of the scheduling.
That's right. Give us a chance.
Make your brother's life a little easier.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, here you go. Here's the games. If you need to borrow commentators from another game, don't worry. They're not at the same time.
Right.
Okay. You can use the same people.
Yeah, you could. Well, you could also play. You could play like a college football deal, right? You could do a Saturday noon game, a Saturday 3:30 game, a Saturday 7:30 game, and a Saturday 10:30 game. So you've got every window, in the sports world covered.
And it's better for the neutral fan. If you're just trying to reach out to, let's throw the markets away. If you're just trying to reach out to the neutral fan, we want to grow the league. We want to just grow the league. You're never going to grow it this way because the neutral fan wants to watch a game. Oh, well, now I have a choice to make because I don't have 14 screens in front of me. I got to decide, what team would I even want to watch? I've never watched this league before, but now you're making me pick one game out of these 14 that I could be watching. And then once that game's over, what if I liked it and I want a little more? Oh, well, guess what? There's no more until next Saturday.
Right.
And it's this Saturday. So that's what I mean. The way you just described is perfect because you draw in that neutral person at noon. And if they go, hey, I really like that. Let me catch the 3:00 game. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, this neutral follower has watched every single game on Saturday just because they had nothing better to do and wanted to get into it.
Well, the other thing too, from a neutral crowd standpoint, right, that you brought out is if I am not necessarily a soccer fan, but I'm interested, I can get tickets to a noon game. I can get tickets to a 3:30 game. I can make it a date situation. You go out, go to the 3:30 game. It's over, and then you go to dinner.
Yeah.
There's ways to work around it. starting every game at 7:30 locally, wherever you may be, um, it's going to get over 9:30, 10 o'clock. We know that. Again, that's not necessarily family time type situation. You want to keep the kids out 10 till 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, and you're not going to get home till 11:30. So I don't see how that becomes family friendly.
Yeah, exactly. That's another solid point to make about this is that you get that situation where like my whole night is gone now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I want to watch a game and be able to go do something after, but especially with the traffic of getting in and out of the stadium, because obviously a lot of these stadiums are in the middle of big cities. They're not out in the suburbs in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, now is not only the actual length of the game, but you got to factor in that hour to travel before and afterwards. Then my whole night is gone.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you've got like we said, a noon or a 3:30 game, right? You got kids who play their soccer games in the morning. They could just wear their shirts and away they go. Off they go to the game. They're home by 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they've had a day where they played a game and then they went and watched their favorite, MLS team.
Yeah, exactly.
So
just
Don Garber, the phone is ready to call. Just
right out of my mouth.
We'll put the phone number up for you.
Hey, Don Garber, we are here. We will answer. Don't worry.
Call us. Let us know. But yeah, they got to do something. But anyway, be that as it may.
Look, I don't want to rag on the MLS the way I do, but like, give me a reason not to. I would love to see some big changes in this league. I actually just wrote a whole article for Big Al site on why expansion is becoming a problem in the MLS, and it's all about the San Diego expansion team they just announced. But yeah, I talk about the problems with the scheduling and the competitiveness of the league, and I even offer a solution to fix the league. So if you're interested, you can go read that article on bigal.com and find my premium plays there. But it's one of those things where like I would love it's our soccer league. I would love to like it, but I simply don't because they're not doing it correctly.
Well, sometimes more is just more, and that's they didn't learn from what they did in the first place, right? The original MLS screwed up by they literally, expanded themselves out of business because some of the franchises were not, necessarily flush with cash to get things done, and now, it costs $800 million to own an expansion team in some cases. And it's like, guys, this is a pretty, steep investment.
Yeah, and then even if you're the Sacramento mayor, you lose out on your bid to San Diego, but still come out and say we're going to spend the money to build the stadium anyway.
It's crazy. And
for the team we don't have yet.
The irony is that the USL understands the scheduling problem, and they actually have games at times when people can go. And they're not staggered. They're not stacking them on top of each other. This scheduling for the MLS is like watching the airplanes leave LaGuardia every.
Honestly, Sean always told me that the USL was a better league than the MLS, just with the way that they structured it, and I tend to agree with that. I think he's bang on, and I bet you if you told the USL we were going to start offering promotion to MLS, they would do anything at the drop of a dime to make that happen. Well, because now their league is pointless. The MLS has rendered their league useless.
Yeah, and it's but even though you're the crowds they're drawing because they do this properly the crowds they're drawing is pretty impressive. I mean, most of
Yeah,
these.
well,
Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, well, they do it properly, and as you said, there's a lot of teams in cities and markets that don't have other teams in other leagues.
And the stadium seats 6,000-7,000 people, which is just enough. And everybody's close, so you get to see everything that's going on, and it's very fan friendly. And you can get in for $5 and have a good old time. So anyway, again, Don Garber, call us. Okay, it's a very simple phone call to make, and we will be here for your conversation, because we have a way to make it better. And we are people who are not Don Garber. Call us at oops, I put a comma in there. That's all right. Anyway, any final thoughts before we let you go here on a nice Tuesday?
No, just enjoy the day.
There you go. All right, and remember to go over to Big Al's and check out your stuff.
Yes.
So there you go. All right, gang. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same station, and we'll have some fun as we always do. So have a nice day. See you tomorrow.